We're away. We're live. It's happening. My name's Irene. I'm with an organisation called Mhor Collective, and we're going to be talking today about digital inequality, what Mhor Collective does, how we try really hard to be part of supporting people to minimise the impact of digital inequality. So we're going to talk a wee bit about that. Shona, do you want to introduce yourself as well, ma'am?
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see your faces and welcome along. As Irene said, we are Mhor Collective. We are a small organisation. I'm based up in the very far north in the Highlands. Irene's in Sutherland, but we have a team scattered across Scotland. So we are doing work right across Scotland, and we focus on digital inclusion. Digital inclusion and digital inequality is what we do.
So Mhor Collective is an organisation based in the Highlands, and but we have Scottish and national and international work that we do. But the main focus of our work is minimising the impact of digital inequality. And we take a rights-based approach to that. So we see the way in which digital inequality impacts on people's ability to access their rights, or the way it also diminishes their rights in lots of different ways. So we see it as part of wider work to help people within the context of basic human rights. Shona, do you want to do this wee slide?
I will do. I've sort of talked you through some of these in my short introduction. So we're not for profit. We are a community interest company organisation. We are going into our 10th year as Mhor Collective. So yeah, that does feel like quite a celebratory moment, because Irene and I worked for a separate organisation who also did digital inclusion prior to setting up Mhor Collective. And their funding got pulled out of Scotland. And at that point, coming up to 10 years ago, Irene and I set up Mhor Collective almost accidentally. And now here we are 10 years later, still doing it and still seeing a huge need for the work to be done. As I touched on earlier, we're Highland based. I'm up in Thurso, Irene's in Bono. We've got other team members on Skye. We've got team members in Tane, and we've got Edinburgh and Glasgow based team members as well. So we're nicely scattered across Scotland. As I said, we're working across Scotland, but our team are in Scotland, but that doesn't mean we're limited to only working in Scotland. We have projects currently running in London, Manchester, and amazingly over in Canada, in Nova Scotia. They approached us probably 4 or 5 years ago now, mid-pandemic. And at that time, Scotland was very ahead with regards to digital inclusion, and Canada were looking for best practice. And that came in the form of the Scottish Government response to COVID, which was Connecting Scotland. So that was distributing devices and data to people that needed it. So since then, we've been working alongside an organisation in Nova Scotia to support them through digital inclusion across Nova Scotia and Canada, which is really exciting. And again, we've already touched on this. We are single issue. We only focus on digital inclusion, but for us, that touches on everything. As you will all know, digital has become embedded in all services, all aspects of our life, and it's across the board now. So we work across a wide spectrum of organisations and a wide spectrum of demographics touching on digital inequality.
And I guess now we've got a question for you all, which I'd love to hear people's voices, but it's maybe easier because we're a bit of a bigger group. I feel a lot of you feel very proficient on Mentimeter. It's not the first time you've been mented. So I guess, how are you seeing this in your day jobs? How does digital inequality impact on the people that you support? If you carry on using Mentimeter, the same slides should follow you through, and we'll see your answers here. If you're more comfortable using the Zoom chat panel, you can put it on there and Shona will transfer it over. Or if you can't do either of those things, which is completely fine, you can take yourself off mute and just say, this is what we see, this is what digital inequality looks like for us in our organisation. I'll give you a wee sec to add in your thoughts. What Shona as well, what we also do is we work across sectors in Scotland as well. So Mhor Collective works in health and social care. We work in settings of education. We work in situations of employability. across government. We're in all manners of spaces, and we're doing grassroots and things like that. So a lot of the ways in which digital inequality impacts on the people you support, we are in different spaces trying to both influence change, but also do something about it. So we've got lots of things coming up here. It impacts on folks' lives in millions of ways, forms, admin, benefits, everything is moving online, creates lots of barriers. For us, one of the reasons is that we see it as a sort of social justice issue, is we can see both that people are being denied opportunities to change or improve their lives or access health and well-being, and they're sort of being, it's not just they're being denied opportunities, there's increasingly barriers being put in their road to live in lives that are meaningful to them. So we're seeing that all the time. So we're seeing lots of examples here, impacting on learning English. So some of our work is with refugees and asylum seekers. We've got a fair few, a really strong project in Glasgow at the moment, supporting refugees and asylum seekers. And we also know there's particular complications related to that space. And we've got statistics around Glasgow there as well. We've got older adults. So what we know is as well that digital inequality impacts on people that are often already struggling anyway. So digital inequality is more likely to impact on people that are struggling financially, that have a disability, that are older, that are from certain backgrounds as well. So it makes things worse. So what we do is we take a relational approach, and we take that seriously. So we don't do training, out the box training. That is not our skill set. Instead, what we do is we meet people where they're at, in trusted places, where there are people who understand the complexity of people's lives. So that's usually working with a trusted partner. We centre lived experience. So we don't talk about centering lived experience. We actually do that. So we speak to people about what are the challenges, what do they look like, and what can we do about that. So there's no one size fits all in the work that we do. And we use apps and websites that are researched, informed, and free to anyone and everyone. So we're usually walking really closely alongside organisations, and we do that through co-design, through sharing stories, knowledge, insights, listening to partners and their particular challenges, and constantly learning as we go. So we're always responding to new things that we find as we sort of move through it. Shona, do you want to talk through what we mean by specialists as partners and what that can look like?
Yeah, so as we've sort of touched on already, we work across a huge range of different demographics and different areas, different sectors, but we always try and work with the expert in that field. So we can bring the digital inclusion experience. We know all about digital inequality, how that impacts people, how to maybe overcome it. But what we really need is that expert partner sitting alongside us. So that might be in a particular aspect of health. It may be projects we've done a lot of work with Simon Community Scotland, and we've really embedded ourselves in their organisation to understand they support people at risk of homelessness. So what are the challenges for people at risk of homelessness with regards to digital? We have to learn from those experts in that field before we can start to even come up with solutions. So it's sitting alongside that expert partner in whatever that field may be. So we've got, like I've named Simon Community Scotland, we've worked with mental health charities specifically. We've just finished up a project in Inverness with Centred, and at the Discovery College, we had one of our team members based within the Discovery College in Inverness. So she was a Mhor Collective team member, but she was embedded within that service, so we could really understand what is the challenges, what's the barriers that are stopping people from accessing mental health support online, or just accessing the online world. It might not have been mental health specific, but it may have been impacting their mental health. So we really want to sit alongside that partner and that expert in the field, and we can bring the digital inclusion and inequality expertise and support them to better include the people that they're there to stand alongside and support.
Because what we know is that digital inclusion isn't an issue that just sits on its own. It's absolutely part of people's wider life experience. So you could signpost somebody to a class in a local library, and that might be an appropriate pathway for some people. But what we know is that people are most helped and most likely to respond to digital if that's coming from a trusted person in a space that they trust as well. So we're working across these different partnerships. And that means that on that journey, we've also learned an awful lot. So the work that we do, for instance, is trauma informed. We take a harm reduction approach to the work that we do as well, because we're learning constantly with the insights from the partners that we do to make sure that people's lived and living experience is centred in everything that we do. So we listen to the challenges that people are facing, we listen to the challenges that staff and organisation are facing, and then we do longer term digital inclusion work and wider media literacy work to support people at point of need. Sometimes that looks like training frontline staff up as digital champions. Sometimes that is helping an organisation develop a meaningful digital inclusion strategy, and we create bespoke solutions. So it all sounds like a bit guddled, but one particular example I can think of is Groundswell down in London. It's an organisation we work with. They take on around 70% of people with lived experience of homelessness as employees in their organisation. So they approached us saying, we recognise that digital inequality is hitting our staff really badly. We actually have high levels of workplace digital exclusion. Can you help us? So we started off by saying, yes, that's a common word that Mhor Collective would usually use. Aye, we can help. And then we spoke to every single staff member and volunteer across Groundswell. That was about 150 people. Spoke to all of them and said, what's this like for you? How does digital inequality impact on you? And what would help you? And what is stopping you here? And they told us, and we then created a program of training digital champions within the organisation, because what we learned is that people love in Groundswell, they're relationship focused. So they have a really good network of support around each other. They're really great at that. So we helped skill up digital champions. We created a digital inclusion strategy that was super accessible and meant something to every person in the organisation. And we're sort of in the second year of providing support and delivering that alongside them. And we're looking actually in the future at embedding a staff member from our team within Groundswell as well, and thinking what that can look like, and taking on somebody with lived experience in our work as well. So trying to continue to challenge that leadership. I'm just going to whistle stop you through some of our current active pieces of work. We're working on a specific piece at the moment around violence against women and girls. What we know is that a lot of women and girls are offline, not just because of issues like digital poverty or lack of digital skills, but sometimes also because their lived experience of violence is keeping them offline. But it's quite unsurprisingly, it's a complicated space. So we're looking at digital inclusion, particularly in that space, and creating collective work to see what we can do, how we can train and support staff to meaningfully support women at point of need. So we're doing that as a nationwide approach. And a side part of that as well is that we're doing work around incel culture and online misogyny, because when we did the co-design for this violence against women and girls, we also found that incel and online misogyny was part of the issue. Shona will be putting both resources, so both insight documents into the thing to let you have a look. Shona, do you want to talk about mental health and wellbeing? I can pull those resources. I'm asking you to do too much.
No, it's fine. I put them in the chat. So anything we've mentioned, you can find. I put them in the chat there. Yeah, with regards to mental health, I touched on it briefly when we went in partnership with Discovery College Inverness-based, and they are hosted by the largest mental health and wellbeing charity within Highland, which is centred. So it was part of a Connecting to Care project that was funded through SCVO, and we funded one of our team members to be based within that college. So we were learning alongside peer support, because that is what the Discovery College model is. It's all about peer support, and we were learning. And then there was outreach within NHS services as well, to get people to devices, to get people the connectivity, to give them the confidence to access. Like I said, it wasn't always health related, unsurprisingly. That health tool wasn't the inspiration to get them online. So we motivated them and taught them and supported them to all the other benefits that being online can have. And in turn, that then made them able to better support their own mental health and wellbeing, and access to services that they're entitled to, and that they can use to support their mental health and wellbeing going forward. But that was very much done in partnership alongside the expert in the field, which was centred in Discovery College, so we could understand what was going on for the people they are supporting, and we could help overcome the challenges to digital inclusion with them.
So we have tons and tons of work going on. We always do. So really it's about, in today's webinar, you go and maybe we could link in here, maybe this opportunity might be right for us, but it's always as well just getting in touch with us for a conversation if anything sparks. Oh, that could be us, or maybe we could do with that help, because we also do a lot of joint funding applications with organisations that want to do something about the issue. So just now, in addition to the sort of online misogyny and violence against women and girls, we've also got a project within Glasgow City looking at the intersection really between digital inequality and media literacy. So we're doing grassroots work in Glasgow just now and looking for partners who might want to engage with that work, so that we can explore what we can do collectively to minimise the impact of sort of negative or poor media literacy. We're also always looking at digital inclusion, homelessness, and particularly support for people using drugs. We've done an awful lot of work. Shona will put in the chat panel our digital lifelines work and a digital approach to harm reduction. So we also look at that. We've got an ongoing project just now supporting young people with care experience to develop the digital skills that they need, and offer digital champion support to anyone working with young people who have care experience, who are at particular risk of digital exclusion. So that's some of our projects, and Shona's put a link in the chat panel for our some of our reports and things that we've got there that might be of interest to you. Today, we also wanted to share some examples of resources that we build in, or I did want to share some of these, because I always think it's really helpful if people go away going, oh, okay, what do I do about some of this? And we're going to talk about that in the breakout rooms. I also just wanted to share some key resources that I think everyone should know about. The first of these is social tariffs. So social tariffs is, because one of the first issues around digital exclusion is that people don't have the devices and data that they need. Social tariffs offer cheaper broadband for people, but a very, very low percentage of people who are entitled to social tariffs actually claim them. So it gives you cheaper broadband at point of need. So that's one thing that I think everyone should know about and be able to share within their networks. The second thing is the National Data Bank. So the National Data Bank is run by Good Things Foundation. Any third sector organisation can sign up to be the National Data Bank, which allows you to distribute mobile data for people at point of need. And there's lots of key partners in all your localities who are already registered. Mhor Collective is registered, but you can be registered yourself, and that can really make a difference to people. Learn My Way is a learning platform with lots of information and resources to help people get started online. I would put the caveat in there, though, that it is for people who want to take quite a methodical approach to their digital skills development. Learn My Way are also developing a short course specifically on media literacy as well. I also wanted to put a shout out for easy read and accessible resources related to online safety being developed for Scottish Government by Lead Scotland in particular. These are printable and in easy read format. There's also multiple language options there as well. And then finally, I just wanted to show you Internet Matters. Internet Matters is a really fantastic resource which has information around keeping children and young people safe online. But as you can see here by what I am sharing with you, there's lots of information there about specific issues which can help all of us in different contexts walk through particular challenges. So I just wanted to sort of showcase some of the resources here. And then now I think it's time for a question and answer session. So I'm going to stop sharing. So